Getting our acceleration here in just a moment and see how this goes. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're gonna be going over a 2021 Subaru Impreza Sport Hatchback. But first and foremost, a huge shout out and thank you to Mark Miller Subaru for providing us with this Impreza. Check out the inventory in the link below. Let's get straight into the video. So under the hood of the Impreza, we have a naturally aspirated 2-liter flat 4-cylinder that goes through a CVT automatic transmission. Now, fuel economy is 27 around town and then 35 on the highway, with power outputs being 152 horsepower and then 145 pound-feet of torque. Now let's go over the front end of the Impreza. So first and foremost, I really like these little body lines here on either side of the hood. Definitely a really cool, unique look. And then you do get halogen bulbs in the sport package. And then these are actually little LED accent lights here at the bottom. They actually look really cool. They're just like daytime running lights. And then I love this whole like venting area. Yes, I understand it's fake venting. It looks cool though. And then with the rest of the grille, they've blacked everything out. You still have the signature chrome logo from Subaru, but I love how they blacked everything out on this sport package just to make it look a little bit sporty, a little bit more aggressive. But other than that, that is everything for the front. Around the side here, we've got two 25mm tires on 18-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear. I really love the design of these wheels because you've got the silver spokes and then you've got the kind of like blacked out spokes, and overall it just gives it like a really aggressive look, and those kind of look like knife blades almost. Just really cool in general. And then with the mirror, it's kind of like two tones. So they've done black on the bottom, white on the top. But other than that, here is your full side view on the Impreza hatchback. Now coming into the rear hatch of the Impreza, you've got a little cargo cover here, which is pretty easy to use. You basically just get it in on either side, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And then other than that, you've got all the floor mats. So you have the cloth sport floor mats, and you have the rubber floor mats right next to it. And there's this little loop right here. Hopefully you guys can see that on camera. There's a spare tire. You just lift up that loop and you can see the spare tire just underneath. But overall, the hatchback does give you quite a bit more storage space compared to the sedan. Now let's go over the rest of the rear of the hatchback. So first off, I really love the look of these taillights. Again, signature Subaru taillights. Also on the Crosstrek as well. I think so you've got the Impreza Sport badge right there, and then you've got the Subaru all-wheel drive badge on the other side. And then just down below, hopefully you guys can see the little exhaust tip hanging out there at the bottom. But yeah, overall this car looks really good, and I love how they've styled the spoiler too, just to make it look a little bit sportier. Take a look at the door panel here with the Impreza. You can see you've got the carbon fiber trim right there, and then you've got the cloth here. Again, the Sport's kind of like the fully loaded cloth variant. You guys will see that in just a little bit. And then you've got the padding right here with the red stitching that goes all throughout, which is really nice. And then coming to the seats are really cool. So you've got the red stitching all throughout, and then you have the gray on this part of the seat. And then in the middle right here, you've got the cloth, which has the red just behind it. So it's like black with the red behind it. Just looks really cool in general. Just love the overall aesthetic of the seats. But with all that being said, let's actually pop in here. So you guys can see step in height's not bad. You do have to go down just a little bit. I'm 5'11", so I've got a good amount of headroom, and you can see legroom a little bit on the small side, but it's not bad by any means. You could comfortably fit an adult back here. And other than that, again, I just love the look of all these seats, and that's the back of the Impreza. Let's take a look at the door panel here at the front. So again, you've got that cloth trim with the carbon fiber trim just next to it, and then you can see you've got all the soft touch here with the stitching, all the window controls here in this area, and the mirror controls as well. Speaker for the Harman Kardon sound system. And then here are the seats in the front. So they're identical to what's in the rear, just a little bit bigger on the bolsters, but you can see the pattern and all of that is really nice. And then you've got the adjustment here on the side of the seat, and then you can see you've got the little pedal layout, you've got a little gas release right there, and then the stability control and the blind spot monitoring. Now let's take a look here at the steering wheel with the Impreza hatchback. So you can see you've got the soft touch all around the steering wheel, and then you have the red stitching on the inside. And then coming here, you've got the controls for the adaptive cruise control, and then you have the SI drive mode select, which we'll get into in just a moment. Volume controls on the other side, you've got your phone controls, and then just down here, you've got this for the little center stack. paddle shifters on the back. The CVT does mimic having gears, so we'll go over that in a little bit. And then you guys can see the little light stock, and then you've got the stock for the windshield wipers, and that's all for the steering wheel. Now here's the center gauge cluster. You can see that the RPM and the speed gauge are both analog gauges, but it's cool that they're highlighted in red. I think it's a really nice little touch. And then you have that center screen, which will just show you different bits of information on the vehicle. Nothing too crazy. They keep things pretty simple, pretty clean here in the center. And then yes, you do have that SI drive mode select. So again, you've got the I, which that's going to be kind of like your around town driving, get a little bit better fuel economy. And then you have your S mode, which is going to be your sport mode. So if you want to get worse fuel economy but have better throttle response, you know, it's kind of a give and take, but just depends on which one you want to drive the car in. Now here at the top of the dash, you can see there's this little screen that gives you different bits of information on the vehicle and then outside. So you can see you've got the time, you've got the temperature outside, and then you've got the vehicle's range, and then the average miles per gallon, which by the way, that's not accurate. This car has very few miles on it, so it doesn't have enough to actually get an accurate reading, but it's cool that's right there. If you're wondering, that's at like the top of the dash. You can see you've got the gauge cluster, the screen, and then that at the top, and it's really cool. They've got red stitching there. You probably couldn't see that on camera very well, but it's just a neat little cluster. Here for the center infotainment system, let's actually pop it into reverse. You can see you've got a backup camera with trajectory lines that do turn with the steering wheel. Really good resolution on the camera. As for the rest of the infotainment system, I really like the look of the infotainment system. I think it's just got like a really clean, modern look. Response time's really good. This plastic covering that the first owner is going to be able to take off does get in the way a little bit, but you guys can imagine without the plastic covering, this thing's just like a rocket ship in terms of response time. You do have analog controls just down below, which is pretty cool. So like if I want to go to the media, for example, hopefully the music's not on, so I don't get, okay, we're good. But you guys can see response time with those buttons is really good. So if you use the buttons or the touchscreen, just depends. Now you've got the climate controls here at the bottom. It is a single zone climate, but this is a pretty small car, so you don't really need a dual zone. You can see you've got a couple USBs, auxiliary, and then a 12 volt, and then some storage just in front of it. And then here is the shifter for the CVT automatic transmission. And then you can see you've got the manual shift function as well with that. I love the red stitching. And then notice the little e-brake here has the red stitching as well. Heated seat controls right here. You've got your high and your low function, and then you have a couple cup holders. Here is the center console, and again, you can see the theme of the red stitching. Opening it up, you can see there's a little area you can thread a cable through it. And finally, we've got more of that carbon fiber trim just up above the glove box. Glove box, pretty straightforward setup. And then again, they continue the red stitching onto the dash. It's pretty cool how this like all comes together, but I just love all of the like red accenting throughout the car. Now here at the top, you can see that we've got a regular sunroof, nothing too crazy. And for some reason, my camera doesn't like me opening that. But you got the controls for the sunroof. And then you can see you've got your lane departure assistance and then your collision assistance as well up top if you want to turn those functions off. And you do get a full black headliner. That's all for the top. Now that we're done going over the interior on this Impreza Sport, let's quickly get into pricing. So in terms of pricing, this Impreza Sport stickers for about $27,000 for any type of market adjustment. That all being said, let's take this Impreza out and see how it drives. Let's talk about visibility here in the Impreza before we set off. So you can see visibility of the hood's actually really good. It's just pretty easy to see out of it. There's your visibility through both of the mirrors. Remember, you do get the blind spot monitoring. And then here's your visibility all throughout the rest of the rear, which is actually pretty good for being such a small hatchback. And that all being said, let's set off. We're initially setting off here in the 2021 Impreza, and first off, let's talk about the road noise and the ride quality. So from a ride quality perspective, it's really smooth for being a car in general, so definitely more on the smooth side. Even though this is a sport, right, it's supposed to be sportier, still a smooth drive. And then in terms of the road noise, I would put it at average for the segment, and the brakes work really well. Like, this just stops really quick. I'm really impressed with that, actually. So from a road noise, ride quality perspective, about average. Braking, I'd say it's a little bit above average for the segment. Now we're taking a little turn here with the Impreza. We'll kind of see how the steering is and everything. Very minimal body roll, and I mean, it's a small car, you guys already know that, and so it feels like a small car. Steering is really direct, actually, but still really light, so it's like a really comfortable steering rack to use. Now we're going to pop it into the sport mode and into the manual mode. Obviously we're going to have to wait a minute because we've got quite a bit of traffic, but those downshifts are actually pretty quick. Now we're going to be getting our acceleration here in just a moment and see how this goes. I probably shifted a little bit too early initially, but I mean, at least it's got a decent amount of torque, and it's you guys heard the power figures, but this really isn't a big car, so it doesn't need a massive amount of power, but I'll do a couple of downshifts and get another acceleration here. Yeah, once you get higher up in the power band, you can definitely feel a lot more. This is definitely one of those engines where it just keeps pulling all the way up to redline. I kind of expected that. Most flat 4 cylinders and then flat 6 cylinders are just like that, just with how they produce power. But overall, like I said, it's not a crazy quick car, but it's more than enough power for the vehicle, and it also gets really good fuel economy. So it's kind of like, you don't have the most power, but you do get really good fuel economy, and you have the all-wheel drive. So it's kind of like, I'll give up a little bit of power for that. But let's actually get into summing things up with the Impreza Sport Hatchback. So first off, from an exterior styling perspective, I definitely prefer the hatchback. I think the hatchback's just a better looking car compared to the sedan. I want you guys to let me know in the comment section below if you prefer the hatchback or if you prefer the sedan. And then in terms of the rest of the exterior styling, I love the new little LED lights there and the venting. I think that's a really cool accent piece. I love this sport package with how it blacks out everything on the exterior. I think that's another cool little touch. And then from the interior, I love all the red accenting on this. Even though these are cloth seats, they feel and look really nice. So overall, I feel like the interior, especially at the price point this is at, is really well put together. And then in terms of like the fuel economy, all that, really solid. Like I said, the power, it's about average for the segment. And then in terms of the safety tech, it's just got so much safety tech, it's really crazy. And so like as an overall package, I think it's a really solid value, especially for the amount of safety tech you're getting for this price point. It's crazy. Now, that is going to sum things up for our video on the 2021 Impreza Sport. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to Mark Miller Subaru for providing us with the Impreza. Check out the inventory in the link below. I will see all of you in that next video.